Hello everyone, this is Genuine Polish, and in this video we are going to be talking about how to create free electricity using duplicants, and the only thing that's going to cost you is their entire happiness and freedom. Let's take a look. So out of all the generators, the one that has an infinitely renewable source with an unlimited potential is the manual generator. But being that duplicants are the fuel, and the worst food supply being mealwood still requires 50 kilograms per cycle per duplicant, and each duplicant requires 6 kilograms of oxygen, we're still talking about quite a lot of resources if we're looking at them like an actual fuel source. So what if we just eliminated those resources? Well, it's actually pretty simple. So how do you remove the oxygen need? All you have to do is put them in an Atmos suit and make sure that there is not going to be any kind of condition that is going to force them to take it off. So there's going to be no checkpoints, there's going to be nothing that requires them to change their outfits, nothing like that. When a duplicant is in an Atmos suit, they will not consume any amount of oxygen. They will recover their breath when they find a suitable pocket of oxygen, consume no oxygen, and produce no carbon dioxide. That's 6 kilograms of oxygen per duplicant that we just knocked off the table. So that's oxygen taken care of. How do we remove the second component, the food? Well, it's actually pretty simple. So first build a flower pot, then cover it with sand, then have a pip plant any seed that only requires fertilization in that plant. Copy the settings and you will have an unlimited supply of food. Make sure that the food source only requires fertilization because this does not remove the irrigation requirements. Keep that in mind. Here's a list of all the plants that you can use with this. Before we get started with the setup, I recommend giving all of your duplicants unique names so that way you can easily identify them when you're setting their schedule and assigning them Atmos suits. So first off, you're going to want to change their schedules. This is where changing their names is going to come really handy because you're going to be able to easily identify them and figure out how you need to split up their schedule. All you need to do is make sure that there's always duplicants awake at any given time, so that way you have the manual generators running 24/7 and you don't have any amount of downtime. How many breaks your duplicants actually need in a system like this is going to be up to you. We're thriving on stress here. They're going to be maxed out 100%, so don't worry about giving them too many breaks. So now a big part of this is we're going to limit their movements. It's not just because it's funny to lock duplicants in rooms. That's a big part of it. But the thing is, when these duplicants who have no skills, no athletics, put on these suits, they're going to be so encumbered by them that they're going to have difficulties getting to food until you start assigning them skills. And you are going to want to assign all of them suit wearing skills, so that way they're going to be moving at their full capacity, and you're not going to risk somebody dying because they're a little too far away from a food source, which actually happened in my test run. I let it go for 20 cycles, everything was fine, and then all of a sudden the guy who's furthest away from the food source died with no athletic skill. So that tells you that it does happen. So make sure you place your food sources nearby, but limiting their movement so they're not spending extra time transiting is going to be very crucial for maximum productivity and to make sure they get food. So now the duplicants are going to be covered in all kinds of germs and diseases and plagues. So you're going to want to separate the special class of duplicant from the rest. Make sure farmers have access to their food storage, or just use chutes to drop off the food, so that way you are coming across as this omnipotent being and they know not to challenge you. Now, don't let these duplicants go wherever they want either, because you don't want to have them consuming oxygen inside of this very controlled environment. And you don't want the duplicants inside hearing about the outside world, because again, they might rebel and cause an uprising. So big thing, I would recommend giving all of your duplicants the stress vomiting reaction. This way you are producing a good amount of polluted water as you progress. Try to avoid flatulence. In control systems, it's always best to not introduce extra gases. Because I replaced duplicant C2, I didn't actually check all their traits when I spawned them back in, so they actually produced a pretty good amount of methane, and they were only alive for like 7 cycles or so they produced a lot of methane in that time. So make sure you avoid flatulence. Alright, so you never actually need to replace the Atmos suits so long as they don't remove them. But after a few hundred cycles, you might want to collect that polluted water that they've been storing in their suits, which is going to be quite a lot actually. So 12 duplicants for 50 cycles, they created 1,200 kilograms of polluted water. So let that run for another 50 cycles. So every 100 cycles, if you do a simple setup like this with only 12 duplicants, you're going to be looking at 2,400 kilograms of polluted water every 100 cycles, which isn't significant, but it's more than nothing, and it's another resource that you're getting from this setup that is essentially free. And the big thing about this setup is because the duplicants are in Atmos suits, they can survive in pretty grueling temperatures. This polluted water that they're generating is enough to basically prevent the machines from overheating and maintain it at a miserably hot temperature, but not so much that the machines are going to overheat. Basically, this room can get as hot as the machines will allow before they stop running. So it's just something to think about. This polluted water is a sufficient enough mass to cool your compartment. Of course, it's going to be probably a couple hundred cycles before the temperature of the room is higher than 90 degrees Fahrenheit, but it will happen eventually, and then maintaining that temperature will prevent machines from overheating. So it's a free coolant. So in order to do this Atmo suit kind of handshake, what you're going to want to do is have an Atmo checkpoint, and after 100 cycles or whenever you decide to do this, you're going to send them through the Atmo checkpoint, and they are going to all disrobe in the same location and empty the polluted water. It's really efficient, it's really effective. They won't be able to go past the checkpoint back into their rooms. So at that point, you need to have fresh Atmo suits waiting for them to change into, and then one by one they can slowly go back into their compartments. And this way you're going to have a nice exchange, and the people outside don't actually have to interact with the people inside. Just make sure you disable the checkpoint once all the duplicants that belong inside the apartment have made it inside, so that way your duplicants on the outside can start supplying food again, and they can resupply those Atmo suits when they repair them. If you want to neglect the polluted water, it's very likely that this room is going to be cooled by ambient temperatures. Because of the low heat output of manual generators, it's not actually going to be creating this excessive amount of heat. I recommend having access to these compartments and not closing them off entirely, so that way in the unfortunate event of a duplicant's unpredictable demise, you can replace them. And don't worry guys, I watched these duplicants for 100 cycles. They seemed pretty happy. I think they like it there. They're happy, we're happy, everyone is happy. Alright guys, stay safe out there. It's a pretty simple system. I don't think I need to go into any kind of advanced setups. Obviously, if you've been around my channel a bit, you know that I'm all about early game builds that are efficient, streamlined, and don't consume that many valuable resources. Obviously, I encourage you to add automation, conveyor chutes, everything. Make it your own. Alright, and real quick, a shameless plug here. So if you like my content, please subscribe. The thing is, I don't really expect to ever make any kind of tangible money from this, but I might make enough to be able to upgrade my equipment and bring you guys better content, and that's kind of my whole objective here. So if you like my stuff, the easiest way to support me is just to subscribe. Maybe I'll make a Patreon eventually, but until I have more exclusive stuff to offer, I'm just asking for your subscription on YouTube. If you want to support me, but you're not a fan of Let's Plays and you're just here for the tutorials, you can actually turn off notifications, and that way it's not going to be popping up in your feed. So, thanks for watching guys, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.